today's important news. The 17th BRICS summit was concluded at Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Prime Minister Modi ji left Brazil, departed to Namibia, and next BRICS summit. Now, the chairmanship and presidentship of BRICS is in the hands of India. The 18th BRICS summit is being hosted by India. The word BRIC is coined by Jim O'Neill of Goldman Sachs Company. After South Africa joined, it have become BRICS. And at present, there are 11 member countries in BRICS. Very recently, Indonesia joined in BRICS. And BRICS is considered as the best alternative forum for Bretton Woods institutions, for Western dominated multilateral institutions. The BRICS population is 49.5% of world's population. 49.5% of world's population. 40% of world's GDP. 26% of global trade. The BRICS constitutes 26% of global trade. If you compare BRICS with G7, G7 consists of only 10% of world population, whereas BRICS nations constitutes 49.5% of world population. And if you consider the GDP per capita of BRICS is more than $8,000. In BRICS nations, the GDP per capita, whereas in G7 countries, it is around $50,000. Okay, so the BRICS nations are emerging. And the recent BRICS summit, the theme is strengthening global South cooperation for inclusive and sustainable governance. Strengthening global South cooperation for inclusive and sustainable governance. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. It got expanded in 2024, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE and Saudi Arabia. And very recently, in this summit, Indonesia joined. The 11 nations represent 49.5% of global population, 40% of global GDP and 26% of global trade. And our Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally attended BRICS summit. Modi ji personally attended BRICS summit, and this is the first BRICS summit Chinese premier have not attended. Xi Jinping have not attended, and even Putin have not attended. And Prime Minister Modi ji emphasized that terrorism was a grave threat to humanity, and the Rio Declaration, the present Rio Declaration of BRICS summit have condemned Pahalgam terror attack also. And he also said diversity and multipolarity were valued strengths of the BRICS summit. They were valued strengths of the BRICS. Diversity and multipolarity are the important values of the BRICS. And our Modi ji also emphasized on setting up of science and research repository in the BRICS group for doing research in supply chains. And he also called for multipolar and inclusive world, particularly reforms in global institutions like UN, UNSC, World Bank and WTO. And he wanted to have reforms in Bretton Woods institutions. And more importantly, supply chain weaponization. Indirectly, he referred China, and indirectly, he also referred Chinese critical minerals and how China is not allowing other nations to access to its critical minerals. And he said China is actually doing supply chain weaponization indirectly. And the global South has often become a victim of double standards. Now, it's a time to work on supply chains in a better and a democratic way. So, supply chain democratization is a very important thing. And the other highlights was Rio Declaration was signed, and more importantly, all the member nations in BRICS agreed for reforms to be suggested in the Bretton Woods institutions. Apart from that, the Rio Declaration condemned all forms of terrorism, and including the attack on Pahalgam terror attack, you all know that. And the Rio Declaration in BRICS also emphasized African solutions for African problems in conflict-ridden areas like Sudan, Horn of Africa countries, etc. And the Rio Declaration highlighted nuclear weapon-free zones and particularly nuclear non-proliferation. And the Rio Declaration, that is the BRICS nations, also supported India's candidacy to host COP33 of UNFCCC in 2028. You all know that. In 2028, COP 33 will be conducted hopefully, and India is trying to host that. UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So these are all the important outcomes, and more importantly, all the nations, BRICS nations, actually critically evaluated Trump's tariff wars. And Brazil President Lula da Silva said, Trump should not consider himself as an emperor of the world. Trump should not consider himself as the emperor of the world. So with this, the BRICS summit got concluded, and Modi ji returned to Namibia. Our Prime Minister returned to Namibia. Next important news that is coming up, PM departs to Namibia after concluding Brazil visit. PM departs to Namibia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has departed for Namibia, marking the final leg of his 5-nation tour. Before leaving, PM Modi concluded his productive visit in Brazil, where he attended 17th BRICS summit, and he also met Lula da Silva, Brazilian president. And the present Namibian visit, right now, Prime Minister Modi is in Namibia, the second African nation in last 6 days. This visit marks the first time PM Modi setting his foot in Namibia, and the first Prime Minister visit to this Namibia, African country, after 27 years. During his visit, PM Modi will meet Namibian President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, and they are going to have cordial and warm discussions over various things, including India-Namibia Center of Excellence in IT, in Namibian University of Science and Technology, and India is also extending its ITEC program, Indian Technical and Academic Assistance Program, to many African nations, supporting technical and academic assistance. Okay, so today Modi ji is in Namibia. We will also discuss the outcome of Namibia after 1 or 2 days. Coming back, Prime Minister Modi received Brazil's highest civilian award. Brazil's highest civilian award. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred Brazil's highest civilian award, the Grand Collar of the National Order of the Southern Cross, by President Lula da Silva in Brasilia. The award is the 26th global honor for PM Modi and the third on his 5-nation tour. It's a third award in this 5-nation tour. First award is by Ghana, second is by Trinidad and Tobago, and third award is by Brazil. So 5 nations: Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina, Brazil and Namibia. And this is the third award he got. Let's see, hopefully Namibia will also give an award to our Modi. So this is a very important award. Next important news, Delhi fuel ban for end-of-life vehicles delayed. New rules to kick from November 1st. It's a very big news which you need to know. Air pollution is a big thing in Delhi, and government of Delhi, state government of Delhi, even national central government, even judiciary also involved to minimize, to reduce air pollution levels in Delhi. You have Graded Response Action Plan, GRAP, Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, according to the pollution levels in Delhi. GRAP, Graded Response Action Plan. So earlier in Aam Aadmi Party government, there is a policy called odd and even policy, where odd numbered vehicles are allowed on one day, even number vehicles are allowed on the other day. Intelligently, Delhi people have purchased both the vehicles with odd numbers and even numbers. People know how to break the rules and how to flout with the rules. And now, recently, there is one more order that have come up from the government, that is end-of-life vehicles. End-of-life vehicles. So, for petrol vehicles, it is 15 years, and for diesel vehicles, it is 10 years. So, when these vehicles come to petrol bunks, petrol stations, the petrol should be denied for them. And people intelligently are filling their petrol tanks in Haryana, UP, and running their vehicles in Delhi. Their question is, vehicle efficiency, engine efficiency should be tested, not the lifespan of the vehicle. Vehicle efficiency, engine efficiency. And while purchasing the vehicle, we are paying a lot of tax to the state. How come our right to property is denied? And more importantly, there are many other things which are causing Delhi air pollution, like stubble burning, like industrial pollution. And why you are sitting on vehicles only? Why you are imposing strict restrictions on vehicles only? So people started asking various questions, and this is very pathetic that petrol bunks are denying petrol to the vehicles. So the policy got lot of criticism. So it was postponed for till November because it should have been implemented from July 1st, but it was postponed till November. Next is a big news that is coming up. Nimisha Priya, Indian nurse on death row in Yemen, set to be executed on July 16th. See, there is a very big case that happened. Nimisha Priya, a nurse, she got convicted in the country Yemen for killing Yemeni citizen Talal Abdo Mehdi, and India is trying with all its diplomatic efforts to stop her execution. But it seems that it's going to be certain that Nimisha Priya is all set to be executed on July 16th. So, few years back, this nurse and this Yemeni citizen, they got intimate, it seems. There were some disputes, and it seems that she killed him. And the Yemeni court have awarded death sentence to her. We came to know about that. We started our diplomatic channels to support her, at least at least to commute her execution to other punishments. But the thing is, she's all set to be executed on July 16th. So just read about this case. And next important news, Indian Navy successfully tests Made in India anti-submarine rocket ERASR from INS Kavaratti. The user trials for ERASR, Extended Range Anti-Submarine Rocket, a completely indigenous submarine anti-submarine rocket, have been successfully carried out from INS Kavaratti. The anti-submarine rocket system is expected to significantly enhance the Indian Navy's striking power. Extended Range Anti-Submarine Rocket is a totally indigenously produced anti-submarine rocket used to combat submarines and fired from onboard indigenous rocket launchers of Indian naval ships. Extended Range Anti-Submarine Rocket has a twin rocket motor configuration to meet a wide spectrum of range requirements with high accuracy and consistency. It's very important. It's very important. Coming back, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu nominates Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu nominates Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. So, on the one side, Pakistan is nominating him. On the other side, Israel is nominating him. So, there are lot of fan follow-up for Donald Trump from national heads and national army chiefs. So Donald Trump, we wish him all the best to get a Nobel Peace Prize. We will also celebrate. Okay. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he has nominated American President Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize, personally handing him a copy of the nomination letter during their dinner in the White House. He is forging peace as we speak in one country, in one region after the other. He is forging peace as we speak in one country, in one nation after the other. I want to present to you, Mr. President, the letter I have sent to Nobel Peace Committee. It nominates you for the Peace Prize, which is well deserved of you. Next, India abstains in UNGA on draft resolution on Afghanistan. India has abstained the UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, on a draft resolution on Afghanistan, noting that a business as usual approach, and you all know all 193 member nations are a part of UNGA, and now they are trying to adopt a resolution introduced by Germany on the situation in Afghanistan. The resolution was adopted by 116 votes. It was adopted by 116 votes in favor, 2 against, and 12 abstentions. And India abstained from voting against Afghanistan's bill. And here, Russia, China, India, Iran, all these countries abstained. India's permanent representative to UN, Parvathaneni Harish, in the explanation note, said that Any coherent policy to address a post-conflict situation must combine a mix of policy instruments, incentivizing positive behavior and disincentivizing harmful actions. So now India don't want to ruffle the feathers with Taliban government in Afghanistan, because on the one side Iran, on the other side Pakistan. So India intelligently abstained from the voting with respect to the German introduced resolution in Afghanistan.